Okay, chapter 4 of the book of Ruth. Does Ruth end up marrying Boaz or this other kinsman? We're going to learn about that today. So, the nearest relative, according to the chapter heading, declines. Boaz takes Ruth to wife. So yes, Boaz wins this one. Ruth bears Obed, through whom came David the king. So there's some valuable stuff we get to learn here. All right, verse 1, when Boaz went up to the gate, and this is the gate at the front of the gated communities. They had walls built around their communities so that they had these gates to the cities, basically. And the walls, of course, keep invading armies out, keep animals, marauding animals, wild animals out, allows them to be more safe and secure inside their area. It is a very common place where they would meet, like social life hovered around the gate, because this is a place where you'd meet people, you'd meet strangers from other lands that were coming to your city. You would also have the judges there to judge people, to kind of police the situations, to help people deal with contracts and stuff. So it was a public place where these things would happen, basically. So when Boaz went up to the gate, sat him down there, and behold, the kinsman of whom Boaz spake came by, unto whom he said, Ho, such a one. What that means is basically, hey, Mr. So-and-so, come here. Turn aside, sit down here. And he turned aside and sat down. So he called this guy over, hey, come over here, let me sit down and talk to you. Verse 2, then he took 10 men of the elders of the city and said, sit ye down here. And they sat down. So those 10 elders are witnesses to this process that Boaz and this other kinsman are going to go through, basically. Verse 3, he said unto the kinsman, Naomi, that is come again out of the country of Moab, selleth a parcel of land, which was our brother Elimelech's. And I thought to advertise thee, saying, buy it before the inhabitants, and before the elders of my people. If thou wilt redeem it, redeem it. But if thou wilt not redeem it, then tell me, that I may know. For there is none to redeem it beside thee, and I am after thee. And he said, I will redeem it. So the guy's like, hey, Naomi's got this land. You're the next in line to get it according to the law. I need to know if you're going to buy it or not. And the guy's like, yeah, I think I might pick that up. That'd be good to get some extra land. Verse 5, then said Boaz, what day thou buyest the field of the hand of Naomi, thou must buy it also of Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of the dead, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance. So what that means is you will also have to marry Ruth and raise kids to Ruth's dead husband. That was part of the law. If one husband died, the next husband were to raise, so many of the kids were to be for the older husband, basically first. So there's not just a reward of, hey, you're going to get this land, but there's a responsibility that comes with this land that he has to fulfill. Verse 6, and the kinsman said, I cannot redeem it for myself, lest I mar mine own inheritance. Because he probably already has a wife and kids and inheritance and things going. Redeem thou my right to thyself, for I cannot redeem it. So he's like, this isn't going to work for me. This is going to really change my family dynamics. And, he's probably, like I said, already married. He probably has kids. He's probably got his own inheritance. He just thought, oh, look, more land. That'll give me more property, more wealth. But if there's these other responsibilities that come with it, that's going to cause some confusion. That's going to cause some problems, a complexity to this. So he's like, I don't want it. Maybe you should redeem it and take it, since you're the next in line. Verse 7, now this was the manner in former time in Israel concerning redeeming and concerning changing. So this is actually the Old Testament authors telling us, kind of narrating a little bit here. This isn't the story itself, but narrating to us a little bit to explain the story. Let's see, for it took it from all things, a man plucked off his shoe, gave it to his neighbor, and this was a testimony in Israel. So the kinsman would take his shoe off, give it to Boaz to show, I'm transferring my property, my rights to you, and that was the outward symbol that would show that agreement, basically, which all the elders of the city would witness to show that. So verse 8, therefore the kinsman said unto Boaz, buy it for thee. So he drew off his shoe. And Boaz said unto the elders and unto all the people, Ye are witnesses this day that I have bought all that was Elimelech's, and all that was Chilion's and Mahlon's of the hand of Naomi. Moreover, Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of Mahlon, have I purchased to be my wife, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance, that the name of the dead be not cut off from among his brethren, and from the gate of his place. Ye are witnesses this day. So they went through that whole process. Verse 11, and all the people that were in the gate and the elders said, We are witnesses. The Lord make the woman that is come into thine house like Rachel and like Leah, which two did build the house of Israel, and do thou worthily in Ephratah, and be famous in Bethlehem. So you can look up those words in the Bible dictionary to learn more about them as well. So they're going, yes, we witnessed it. We wish you well with getting Ruth to your wife, raising kids to her dead husband, and having the land and the responsibilities and things. And so they're continuing on here. And let thy house be like the house of Pharez, whom Tamar bare unto Judah, of the seed which the Lord shall give thee of this young woman. So there, remember, Tamar was the daughter-in-law of Judah, who Judah's son died, and his next son was way too young to marry. So he sent Tamar back to her family, and then he ended up getting her. He thought he was sleeping with a concubine. A little while later, he ended up sleeping with her, getting her pregnant, and she gave birth to Pharez, who ended up becoming a son of Judah. But then that's how that progressed as well. And they also bring up, remember, Leah and Rachel. Remember, Rachel was the woman that Jacob wanted, but he got her sister Leah first, and then had to work another 7 years to get Leah. So kind of a similar situation. They're kind of equating that, going, we hope that works out for you, Boaz, as well as worked out for them for great blessings and things. So there's something here I want to read from Great People of the Bible and How They Lived. Page 133 says, the public life of an Israelite village was concentrated at its main gate. It was here that matters of law were brought for adjudication before the elders of the community. They also were the official witnesses for transactions such as the one in which Boaz agreed to marry Ruth if her kinsman would give up all rights to her dead husband's property. A man renouncing property rights removed a sandal and presented it to the new property holder, a gesture that everyone understood and considered binding if witnessed by the elders. So just a little bit more of an explanation of the procedure tradition that they had. So verse 13, Boaz took Ruth, and she was his wife. And when he went in unto her, the Lord gave her conception, and she bare a son. And the woman said unto Naomi, Blessed be the Lord, which hath not left thee this day without a kinsman, that his name may be famous in Israel. That's Ruth telling Naomi that, basically, that there's family. You have by virtue of me and Boaz, you have grandchildren, basically. Verse 15, and he shall be unto thee a restorer of thy life, and a nourisher of thine old age. For thy daughter-in-law, which loveth thee, which is better to thee than 7 sons, hath borne him. And so Ruth is basically saying, this son, my son, is going to be a helper for you. He's going to be the one that supports you and helps you, basically. Verse 16, Naomi took the child and laid it in her bosom and became nurse unto it. So oftentimes you'd have the mom, of course, would nurse the baby and take care of the baby, but then you'd usually have another woman who would also help with that baby and the needs of that baby as well. Verse 17, and the women, her neighbors, gave it a name, saying, There is a son born to Naomi. They called his name Obed. He is the father of Jesse, the father of David. So Obed is King David's grandfather, basically. Now these are the generations of Pharez. Pharez begat Hezron. Hezron begat Ram. Ram begat Amminadab. Amminadab begat Nahshon. Nahshon begat Salmon. Salmon begat Boaz. Boaz begat Obed. Obed begat Jesse. Jesse begat David. So these last few verses here are the genealogy to show that Obed, basically, this is the father and son hand down of the generations of kingship. So if there were a king in Israel, if Judah was given the right to rule in Israel. You remember back as part of his patriarchal blessing with the original 12 tribes. So this is the ruler of the tribe of Judah. So Obed would be the king of Israel if they continued on, which means David is the king of Israel. That's a birthright that he has, basically. Which is how he gets into that birthright area, basically. So kind of a forward-thinking area there, but it just helps to clarify that tie from Judah down to David to show that David is a descendant of Judah and how that ties together, because David becomes king. And remember that as that kingship continues on, that shows the line of the kings that we'll get into. This also helps support the beginning of the New Testament, the genealogies of Mary and Joseph, to show that they are of the right lineage to actually have a son who would be the king of Israel. So really fun stuff that we get to learn there. So we'll see in the next chapter to continue on this story as now Obed is born.